Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to replace the RAM and the hard drive or SSD in this Lenovo ThinkPad T480. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, flip it over. Make sure the computer's off, of course, alright, and then we're going to go ahead and take the battery out. So this tab, when you slide it over, it locks over to the unlocked position until you remove the battery. So slide that over. This one is spring-loaded, so you have to keep holding it. Once you do that, you can slide the battery out this way. There's not really much area to grip it, so what I do is I just get my fingernail in this gap here, and then I slide it out just like that. If you don't have fingernails, you can use like a plastic tool or something, or even if you use metal, just be careful not to go towards the battery connectors here. Alright, so there we go. There are two batteries in this model, and let's see if there's a battery model number here. So the battery model number here is SB10K97580. Alright, so that's the battery. There's also a different part number here, 01AV490. Alright, so I don't know, you can check yours, see what yours is. You can also just search for your laptop model number and make sure the battery looks right, because again, there are two batteries in here. Alright, once we remove that battery, we're going to go ahead and remove all the screws from the bottom, so that way we can take the cover off. I think these screws actually stay in place. Let's see. So undo the screws, you'll hear it click. That's how you know you undid the screw, and yes, it stays in place. Right, let's go ahead and remove this screw as well. You'll hear it clicks and the screw stays in place. Alright, so we're just going to do that with all the screws here. So yeah, all these screws come out and it just stays in place like that, okay? Alright, so remove all the bottom screws as well. Okay, so now we undid all the screws. Let's see if there's anything in here that we need. There's nothing really there that you need. There's like the type number and stuff like that, but that's not important. Alright, so the type kind of just talks about what hardware and stuff is installed. So hardware, RAM, and everything, you're going to want to check yours. Alright, so once we removed all the screws, what I do is I get my fingernails in the gap here, okay? Again, I have fingernails, so this is what I use. I mean, if you don't have fingernails, you can let them grow out, but some people don't like to do that, so you can use some plastic pry tools to do this. So it helps to go with the gap here, and then use your thumb on the back, and then you just pull on this. Here you can see they're unclipping, just like that. Okay, just like this. You're going to go all the way over and do the same. Alright, earlier I was trying to help move that generator, and then I ripped one of these nails like completely to where people would normally cut them, but usually I leave my fingernails like this so I can use them for tools. Alright, so there you go. We got this whole bottom piece unclipped. We're going to go over to the side here, and we're going to continue doing the same thing. Just work your way up. Here you can see it kind of unclipped itself, so we're going to go ahead and go to the other side. Do the same thing, kind of lift it up, and the sides actually unclip very easily. Okay, and then these will be a little bit tricky, so what you do once you get to the side, you kind of pull here, okay? So here you can see there's a gap here now. And once you get under that gap, then you can go ahead and try and get under this little flat bar piece here. Oops, hard for me to see when it's at that angle. Okay, so just like that, get underneath there and pry that up too, just like this, okay? And there we go. Make sure you get all of it pried up. There are some clips under here, all right, where the battery connects here. But once you get all these clips and all the way around, you kind of just wiggle the bottom cover. And when it pushes this way, it kind of unclips. So there you go. You can see there's the three clips that are holding there. But yeah, that's how you remove the bottom cover. Comes out pretty easily. Okay, so there's two slots for RAM. There's actually only one slot being used. This one isn't used. Here you can see the RAM here. To remove the RAM, let me zoom in so you can see better. Well, here's the battery, in case you were wondering, the second battery. I'm not going to take the whole thing apart because the customer just wants me to replace the hard drive, upgrade the RAM, and then do a clean install of Windows. I will go through what the connectors are. This kind of connector, you kind of have to grab it and wiggle to pull it back. And then there's some screws holding this battery down. I actually see only one screw holding this, so most likely there's one screw, and then I think you lift it and it can slide. Oh, actually there's one more screw here. Okay, so there's two screws holding that battery. If for some reason you try and lift it and it's stuck, just try and check for other screws. There might be some stuff hidden underneath the speaker here. All right, CPU is soldered to the board. A lot of people ask about the processor and stuff. It's soldered to the board, can't do anything with it. Oh, pretty much every laptop will have the fan with this heatsink, and the CPU is under there. It can't be anywhere else because it has to cool down the CPU. All right, and then we got the hard drive here. So, oh, let me show you the RAM again. Let me zoom in. Okay, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Okay, so we'll pull up this little plastic flap here, and then what you do is you pull these two metal tabs out to the side. The RAM stick pops up like that. Once it pops up, you can easily pull this out, okay? And the RAM here is a 16 gig PC4 2400T. Oops, there we go. 16 gig PC4 2400T. So what the customer wanted, they wanted two 16 gig sticks. I didn't find a matching one, or it's a lot more expensive to get one of that one. So what I'm going to do is I got a set of this, two 16 gigs PC4 2400T SK Hynix RAM, and we're just going to install this. All right, so same thing, just in reverse. Get that in the slot at an angle like that. I know it's hard to see because of this plastic stuff, but that's how it is. All right, and then you just push that down, it clips into place. There we go. Same thing with the other one. Just make sure you get the slot lined up right. Make sure, because one is shorter than the other. Okay, so make sure you got it lined up. Put it in at an angle like that. All right. Once you have it at that angle, just like that, you're going to do the same as the other one and just push it down and clip it into place. So there we go. If you want, you can go ahead and power it on, make sure it's working okay. If the RAM isn't seated properly, if the RAM is defective or something is going on, or doesn't detect the RAM properly, so then the computer won't start up. It'll get some power, but nothing will happen. The screen will just stay black. So keep that in mind if you are changing the RAM, or if you mess with the RAM and it's not booting up. Most likely either you damaged the RAM is dirty on the contacts. You might have to just wipe it off. Usually to clean it, I just grab the RAM like this and then do that. Make sure that you have yourself grounded, of course, so that you don't risk getting static electricity through this. But I do that all the time and it fixes the RAM. There we go. So there's two random connectors here. I'm not sure what these are for. All right, this whole computer has a bunch of like connectors in here. You got the BIOS CMOS battery. If you mess with these LCD LVDS connectors here and this one over here, okay, you want to make sure disconnect this internal battery as well, and then press and hold the power button 10 to 15 seconds. If you do not do that and you just yank this out, there's a very good chance that you'll fry the backlight circuit and your screen's not going to light up, or you can even fry your whole motherboard. So be very careful with that. All right, it looks like all these ports are soldered to the board, so you can't just remove them. Sorry, over here. Let me zoom out a bit more so you can see everything. Sorry. Okay. All right, and I don't know if this has a touchscreen. I don't think so. So this is probably like for the webcam and other things in there. And this is most likely the LCD connector over here. These connectors, they have a metal latch that you have to flip up. Same on both sides, and then you can pull the cable out. If you're not sure how to do that, just watch my other videos, especially the older MacBooks, 2012 all the way up till 2015. The MacBook connector has this kind of latch. If you can't find a video, just let me know and I'll send you one. But you pretty much just flip that latch up and then you can use that latch to kind of pull the connector back. Okay, got the fan connector here. All right, there's the hard drive connector here. We're most likely going to leave that connected, or actually I can take that out just to show you how those latches come out. And you got the other speaker connector here. Actually, this speaker connects both speakers, so this speaker connects and then it has a wire running across to the other speaker. Okay, you got the wireless card under here, two antennas. You just pull up the antennas by the tail if you're going to take it out. When you undo the screw, it comes out just like the RAM, pops up at an angle. You can pull it out. All the ports are soldered in here. And you got this little SIM card thing here. Other than that, there's not much else. There are these little water drain holes here. These are for if you spill water or liquid into the keyboard. On this model, you do not want to flip the computer over after liquid spills in it. Just let the liquid drain through. The thing is, with this here, it has these little drain holes. as you can see, there's this like raised bit, so when liquid spills, it'll help funnel the liquid out to here. But if there's liquid in here and you flip it upside down, what will happen is these raised walls, the liquid will go over and onto the inside of the computer. So if you spill liquid in here, you actually want to just leave it sitting upright like this, and the liquid will all drain through these little holes, okay? You don't need to worry about drying it out or anything. Just leave it sitting like that for, I guess, for at least a week or so, and it should dry enough that you won't have any issues. But yeah, this design for draining, it's kind of nice, but at the same time, it's not that great, because if you spill on it, let it drain out, and then it's not completely dry and you just flip the whole computer over, then liquid could still kind of get in here. So keep that in mind. If you spill in it, just let it sit for like a week or so it dries enough that there's no chance that flipping it around is going to get liquid anywhere. But yeah, all right, let's go ahead and remove the hard drive. Sorry, I'm rambling on about so many things. Most people just care about the hard drive and the RAM. All right, so to remove the hard drive, there's this plastic thing here, and it's like a tab that grabs it. So what you do is you push it in, and then once you push it in, you can lift it up just like this, and there you go, you can pull the hard drive out. So if you wanted, you could easily just take the hard drive out and you can get this bracket out, but I'm going to show you real quick how to remove this connector here, just in case people were wondering. There's this metal tab here, it flips up like that. Once you flip that up, you can grab the metal tab here and then push towards the bottom of those, and then you can disconnect it just like that. All right, so this tab kind of has some weird discoloration there. I don't know if that's liquid residue or something. It's kind of weird, maybe tape. But anyways, push that over, and then you can flip this and lift it up. All right, this little hard drive caddy doesn't have any screws in it, so you just pop it out. But first, let's remove this connector. So this connector, if you just yank on it, a lot of times there's this plastic part on top that will get pulled out. They actually taped over this whole thing, so you probably won't have that issue. But to be safe, the way I do it, I get my fingernail in here. You can use a plastic pry tool. And what I'm doing is, between this little gap, I'm leveraging to pull this out. So just like that, okay? And then you do the same thing on the other side, get in there, and you can pull it out. Okay, so that's the safest way I found to remove these things. Another thing you can do, if you have like a thin enough plastic pry tool or something, so you can kind of pull this out a little bit, and then you can get the tool in this little gap here. And when you get the tool in that gap, as you can see, I can use that, sliding it back and forth, and I can use that to pull this out. So there's multiple ways you can do this. Yeah, all right. Okay, so now we're going to swap the hard drive with the SSD. So again, the hard drive is in this plastic caddy. You just pull these out, so kind of pull it out to the side, just like this. We don't need this aluminum foil stuff. If you're putting a regular spinning drive, you can transfer the aluminum foil stuff over if you want, but I don't think it's really needed for anything. So we're just gonna go ahead and remove this plastic bracket here and transfer it over. So just like this. Okay, make sure you keep the hard drive the same way so you don't flip it upside down. So just like this. I'm going to try and be careful not to put this on the board because I don't want to short anything out. So there we go. Grab that. Let's go ahead and get the replacement hard drive or SSD. Okay, so we're replacing it with a 1 terabyte Samsung SSD. This is a Samsung QV870 QVO. All right, so again, we're going to flip it the same way as the old one. Going to put this thing on here. Okay, so you just line it up, and then you just push these little tabs into the screw holes. So there's no actual screws to hold this, it just holds in with those plastic little dimple things. There we go. Once you get that, we're going to take this connector, all right, just plug that back on just like that. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and put the hard drive back in. So when you put the hard drive in, you want to put this side, there's these little parts that stick out. It's hard to see in camera. There you go, a little bit. You can kind of see it's kind of blurry, but those stick out. So what you want to do is you want to get this in first. Make sure the cable goes behind that. All right, and then you just push that in, and it clicks into place. All right, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to set this hard drive aside. We don't need it. I'm going to put it in the case for the SSD. Okay. The customer told me basically just do a clean install, so we're going to just put this stuff away. All right, and now we're going to reconnect the hard drive cable. If you don't know what you're doing, then you probably want to disconnect the battery and then press and hold the power button before doing all this kind of stuff. But if you're careful, then it shouldn't be an issue. I'm going to flip this over so it's easier for me to see. All right, so we're gonna get this cable connector in, just line it up, get it straight in, and then you pull it towards yourself, just like that, and latch this back down. Again, normally I wouldn't even remove this connector. I just removed it to show you guys how to remove the LCD and LVDS connectors. Normally what I would do is I would just lift this up like that. Oops, let me show this. So normally I would just lift the hard drive up like this, and then I would just pop this connector out like that, and I wouldn't even bother removing this. But if you don't know what you're doing, you might want to do that so you don't accidentally yank this cable out and then damage it. All right, so there we go. Okay, so we got the hard drive in, we got the RAM in. That's pretty much all we need to do. Oh, there was that blue cable that runs underneath. I believe that's for the trackpad. I don't really see all the other cable connections or anything, so the keyboard, everything, I don't know. There's this one cable here as well, but usually the keyboard cable is much larger than that, so I'm not too sure what that cable is. Okay, it looks like the keyboard actually comes out from the top. I'm not going to try and pop it out though, but there's a gap here, so it looks like you can pop this out from the top. Usually if I need to replace keyboards for these computers, like here you can see this little gap here, usually what I would do is I would check online for the keyboard, T480 keyboard or something, and I would look at what the bottom of the keyboard looks like, and usually with that I can tell how it's held in place, if there's screws, if it's just held in with clips. So that kind of thing is semi like reverse engineering, but not really. But it helps you like just see how everything fits together. Okay, so we got again the SSD in, we got the 2 sticks of RAM. Now we're gonna just put the door back on. So this thing, again, we're just doing in reverse, so this came out last. We're gonna basically put that back in first. All right, you don't have to completely do this all in reverse, but go ahead and clip this. That's probably, it's always the safest and easiest way. If you do everything in reverse, it makes sure that it's not going to have any issues. All right, and then we can go ahead and put back all these screws. Let me zoom out a tiny bit. Tighten that into place. So this laptop is pretty nice. There's not too many screws to get into the entire computer. Yeah, the only thing is like, well, I guess with all of them, there's always something a little bit new. I forgot to mention there's this tiny little hole here. I don't know if you can even see that. I was thinking about it in my head, but I didn't mention it. So this is kind of like a BIOS CMOS battery reset thing. So in some cases, some Lenovos, if they detect like some temporary issue, like maybe a temporary short or something happened, the computer might not turn on. You can actually push this little hole with a needle, or you can use like a small paper clip, just unfold it and use that. Press and hold that button 10 to 15 seconds. And a lot of times that will help fix those kinds of issues where it's not starting up if it's just staying on a black screen or something. Okay, so there we go. Once we get that, you're gonna have to make sure, you're gonna open this and then make sure to clip these all back together because the screws can't pull towards the center since the screws are only on the outer edges. All right, make sure everything looks lined up. And then let's go ahead and put the battery back in. We're gonna see if it boots up. Then next we're gonna have to boot a Windows USB installer so that we can reinstall Windows on here. Because if you just swap the hard drive out, unless you clone the hard drive first, I have a video for that. So if you want to see how to do that, just let me know. But yeah, clone the hard drive, either that or you're gonna have to make a Windows USB installer. Microsoft makes that utility free as long as you have another Windows device. But basically we're gonna plug the USB device into here. We'll power it on, assuming that the RAM is all seated properly and everything's good. It should start up. If it doesn't, I'm gonna have to check the RAM. I'm gonna have to take it apart again and check the RAM. So I see the power light is on, but nothing is happening. Sometimes it takes a little bit for it to initialize with the new RAM, but right now it's looking like it's not gonna turn on. So oh, there we go. Okay, it did. So now we press the enter key to interrupt the startup. It gives you this quick startup menu. I'm going to press F12 to choose the startup. So there you go. Sometimes you have to be patient. It does this on a lot of computers. Kind of scares you, makes you think that your computer's broken, but just be patient. All right. Basically, the BIOS was reset from pulling all the batteries and stuff out. Well, it shouldn't be, but sometimes it's like detecting the new hardware. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to boot from my SanDisk Cruiser Fit because there's nothing on the Samsung SSD. It's weird. It detects the old Windows Boot Manager from the old hard drive, but if I push this, nothing will happen. There you go, see? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the SanDisk Cruiser Fit. If you created a USB, yours will be different. I did it with the 64-bit and 32-bit. I mean, I only use the 64-bit, but in some cases, rare cases, people have me put the 32-bit on an old computer. So that's why I have it dual installing. And Microsoft makes the utility that does this for free. If you need help figuring out how to do that, just send me a comment and I will actually share that link with you. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the setup. I'm going to do 64-bit, of course, because this computer is not that old. The processor works fine with 64-bit. I don't know why there's like weird fingerprints on here. They must have been trying to use it as a touchscreen or something. To clean this kind of stuff off, with matte screens, it's a little bit scarier because they kind of can scratch easier. But what I do is I take just a little bit of water on a paper towel, okay? And I'm just using water. You can use isopropyl alcohol if you want, but that can sometimes make the screen have some bright spots, so you want to be careful with that. So you just get a little bit of water. Make sure it's nothing that can drip out. I like to just put a little and then kind of squeeze it so it gets all over and spread out on the paper towel. And then I just use that to kind of wipe the screen. You don't need any chemicals or anything. Yeah, I just use water. Okay, just like that. Wipe it down. I'll probably have to turn the screen off later so you can kind of see the difference after cleaning it with just water. But again, if there's stuff that's really greasy or something, then you might have to use rubbing alcohol. But for most cases, just a little bit of water, enough to kind of like wipe it, and it just makes a little trail of water. It eventually evaporates and it's okay. Alright, so anyways, we got it with the languages. I'm just going to choose English. I just press tab until it goes to next. I'm used to doing that because then I don't have to move the mouse or the trackpad around. And then I go to install now. Okay, and then it's going to pop up the, what do you call? It'll pop up the, let me clean this a little more. Alright, it'll pop up the disk. Alright, so here it will say like about the agreement. So I just press spacebar to accept and then click enter for next. And then it has upgrade and install, but there's no Windows on here, so I'm going to choose custom. Sorry, I'm not really showing the screen. And here you can see the drive is 100%, nothing unallocated. So just press enter on there. It'll automatically create the partitions and go through the setup. After I finish all of this, it will ask you to connect to the internet. I usually don't connect to the internet, so I can create a local account. But if you like creating the Microsoft account where it's synced to your email and everything, you can just go ahead, connect to the internet and everything. But in order to avoid doing that and just doing a local account, I don't connect to the internet, and then I tell it just to continue without the internet. But anyways, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna put back or re-tighten the screws, not really put them back because they're already in there. But let's go ahead and tighten the screws. I'm gonna do this while the thing is running. If you're using a spinning hard drive, oh, I think I already tightened it actually. Okay, my brain is working ahead of itself. I forgot I already actually did that. Okay, so anyways, if you're doing this while the computer's running, if you have a spinning drive, you don't want to move it around too much while it's installing or doing anything using the hard drive a lot, because that's how you end up messing up your hard drive. Okay, but with SSDs, you don't have that issue, and that's why I kind of just move the computer all over the place while I'm working on them. But that's pretty much it. Again, it's just going to go through the installation process. It's going to restart a few times. Just go ahead and do that. I highly recommend running all the Windows updates to make sure everything is, you get all your drivers installed. Windows will, in most cases, install all the drivers for you. In some rare cases, you will have to go to the manufacturer's website and then get drivers that are missing. The way you know drivers are missing is if you go to the device manager and you see those like yellow exclamation points. But that's more advanced stuff, and that's kind of stuff that usually I won't go into. Maybe I should make that as like a Patreon bonus thing, like if you want these kind of more in-depth videos where I show more of what I do, how I do the software, Windows, everything. Because normally I don't just leave Windows vanilla. I kind of like disable a whole bunch of like all the animation things and stuff that slow the computer down, just because I feel those things are unnecessary. I'd rather have my window like pop like this than go whoosh. Like I don't care about like a second of like seeing my window move around like that. I'd rather just have it instantly open. So there's a lot of things like that that I do, and yeah, anyways, I'm gonna finish installing Windows. That's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others. If this video helped you save a bunch of money, please consider throwing some my way. Even $1 helps. Everything's good. I don't drink coffee or anything. Maybe buy me a Jamba Juice. I don't really go out to Jamba Juice or anything. But yeah, if you want, buy me something to drink or buy me a snack, whatever. I don't really drink alcohol or coffee or all that stuff. I mean, I'll drink it if it tastes good, but I don't drink like those things that most people just drink just because I feel like those are more like an addictive thing, though sugar is also. So, but sugar's my chosen drug. All right. So anyways, that's all there is. I'll see you guys later. And all right, let's drop my camera and hopefully I don't drop it again. All right.